Thank you. Well, good morning, everybody. You know what? I think I deserve more than that. After all, it's my birthday. Let's try that again. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. That's better. So, I'm going to give you a brief intro of how I got here at this church. And then I'm going to say to you what life was like with me before, what happened, and where I am now. So for the intro, I was born in Trinidad, large family, 5 brothers, 7 sisters. I was somewhere in the middle, and they said to me, I talk too much and I ask too many questions. And I challenged my parents when I was quite a little girl. And then in Trinidad, that's a definite no-no, because you respect the elders, whether you know they are not right. Nevertheless, you still got to respect them. So even at a young age, I thought, I'm not going to do that. And that's why I was beaten and brutalized so much. But the thing is, it was not just being abused in my house, within my community. The worst part of it was I was abused under the umbrella of the church. And I think, to me, that type of abuse, I call it the abuse of all abuses. Because at that time, I thought I would be at war with my mother, my father, Mother Nature, God, and then alcohol. And I was determined I am going to win. Don't ask me how, but I was determined I was going to win. And I didn't realize there was no way on this God-given green earth I was going to win fighting with these huge 5 entities. And years later, I realized, wait a second, Grace. You're part of Mother Nature, you're part of God, you're part of your mother and your father, and yet you're fighting them? So therefore, I was fighting myself. But nevertheless, I decided I was going to win. It took me 80 years. Now I was 80 the 8th of May. And it took me all that time to come to terms with that abuse. And 2 of the worst abuses was the one about the church and obviously alcohol. Because being abused under the umbrella of the church, for me, I thought God was part of it, because after all, it was his church, it was his words, his people, so naturally, that's what I thought. So I vowed never ever to set foot in a church again. And then that brought me back to, well, you might be thinking, well, how did you get here? Well, I know how I got here. COVID wasn't all that bad, altogether bad, because I lent Halim that one day in the yellow shirt, my car. It was for 2 years, then 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Then I said, Halim, I need my car back, because I like to go to Aquafit. Water seemed to be healing for me. It doesn't matter how much water, whether it's natural or it's artificial, still, it's healing. So Halim brought the car back for me on Sunday evening. So Tuesday, I went to our local facility and I was doing my exercise. So I finished my exercise and had my shower, and then I was drying off. And there was a lady there. It was this lady there with the white hair with the lovely black top, Arlene. So we were standing next to each other in the rec complex. And we were, I am not going to say we were naked, but we were jaybirds. So we were drying off. And I said, hello. And she went, hello. I said, do you come here often? And she says, I will be coming here often now, because I have retired from where I said Grand River Hospital. That's me. And she says, I like reading. That's me. And I like aquafit. That's me. So I said to her, so what do you read? What type of books do you read? I said, would you read my book? She says, oh yeah. You get it from the library? I said, no. I said, I wrote it. She said, you wrote a book? I said, I wrote 2 books. So I told her. She said to me, what is the book about? And there I thought, I will be bad. I said to her, it's none of your damn business. And then she went, and then I gave her a hug. And from that point on, we were buddies, we were friends. And then we talked a little bit more. Then she says, Grace, there are some people I want you to meet. I said, okay, who are these people? My 2 daughters, obviously the congregation, but I want you to meet my pastor first. And when she says pastor, I thought, oh no, not that again. And honestly, I feel the negative emotion went as far as here. I thought, I don't want to have anything to do with church. And then I said to her, and what church is this? She says, Rockway Mennonite. I thought, oh, this is going to be painful. And now my emotion was up there. I thought, I don't want to do this. Then I said to her, I said, Arlene, your congregation, I say, do they want to hear what they want to hear? Oh no, she says, they want to hear your story. Or do they want to hear what I have got to say from my heart and my truth? She says, oh no, we want to hear that. And then I said to her, how about your pastor? I said, what's his name? She says, Thomas. I said, yeah. Is Thomas open-minded? Oh God, yes, she says. And I thought, this seemed to be too good to be true. Honestly, too good to be true. And we chatted and all of that. And then I met with Pastor Laura and Arlene right out there. And the thing was this. So I was very skeptical of these church people because I've had bad experience from them. So why would I trust any of you? I'm not going to do that. So we met, and almost word to word, what Arlene says to me about the church and about the pastor, that's what I heard out there. And then the ball went down a little bit, not too much, just a little bit. And we decided on a date, and June 2nd last year, this woman who says she'll never ever set foot in a church again, I was walking through that door, coming to this church. When I park in the parking lot, those negative voices, those grumbling as they call it, it seems as though they got all their allies and they come there, saying to me in my head, you cannot do that. Remember, those people there, they're quite educated, and da-da-da-da-da-da. I heard those voices a lot of time, and many times, and very often, I thought, once and for all, I'm going to set these voices right. And if someone had been listening to me, they would think, she really gone cuckoo. So I turned around, my left shoulder, and I said, listen, all of you, I am going to go there. I'm going to speak my truth. I am not going to be pompous. I'm going to be humble, and I am sure I will be received well. So I came through the door, Arlene met me, and then when we were coming upstairs, I felt the warmth, people saying hello, even though they've never met me before. hello, Grace, we're happy to see you, and all of that. And I was still a little bit, are they just being nicey? Because I know nicey people. So I was here. And I told my truth. I told what happened when I was abused under the umbrella of the church. And let me tell you, that day, it was freedom. It was letting go. There was a lot of emotion, not just for me, but I think a lot of people in the congregation. Somehow, they were there with me. But I also got to say that day, if I were to tell you or describe my emotion and the tears, I will color them like this. Up until I stood here and I spoke, I felt as though I was crying black tears, dark brown tears, very sad tears. I mean, I'm on the verge of crying again, but this time it's happy tears, tears of freedom, tears of relief, tears of acceptance, love. And I hope you people still love me, because you said that a minute ago. Because I'm going to hold you to it. I'll say, remember you said you love me, so what happened now? But today, it was different. Very, very different. In 2024, my youngest son, Isif, called me and said, Mom, do you want to go on holiday? I said, oh, yeah. Where do you want to go? I said, anywhere where it's sunny. We went to the Dominican Republic with a few of I call these people my family. Not all of them blood relatives, but their family. So we went to the Dominican Republic. It was quite a posh place. It was lovely. Our accommodation was just a stone throw over the road, and you reach the dining room. And another stone is the beach. So this day, we packed up our things, had breakfast, and we went down to the ocean. As Thomas was saying, I had my book, and I was sitting there on the lounge chair under those, I don't know, straw hut things. And I had the book open in front of me, and I wasn't reading anything, I was just looking. And the surf of the wave drew my attention. And then I looked, and I thought, this is very interesting. Because what I saw those mighty waves coming, and they die away. And then another one come, and I think it was very harmonious. And then I noticed also, when the wave came in on the beach, it deposited all the debris of the sea, the natural one and the artificial one as well. And to me, the ocean was saying to us human beings, don't dump your stuff, your garbage, in my space. There it is. I'm bringing it back to you. Do something about it. And right there I thought, wait a minute, Grace. I know I was fighting those 5 entities. I know that. But this time, I really needed Mother Nature and God to help me out there. When you get down on your knees, when life beats you down on your knees, you call for God, Jesus, even if you don't believe in these things, this entity, you to call for them. So there, I thought, if the wave is bringing all this debris in, maybe, just maybe, the ocean can do something for me. And then, like like you feel guilty of something. Well, I was guilty, I was embarrassed, I was shameful, I was frightened. And I felt as though this request, it was undeserved. I didn't deserve to ask the ocean for this favor. So I walked up to a bit nearer, and I looked at the ocean. I've never been in the presence of God. Well, I don't think so. But when I was standing there, no one could doubt me. I was not standing in the presence of God, that mighty entity. And I stood there, and then I started bawling my eyes out. I felt so touched by the ocean and what my request is going to be. And also, I felt beyond humble, because fighting with this entity on one hand, and now I'm going to ask it for help. So I walked down, and in a sort of submission, I said, "Mighty ocean, my name is Grace Ibrahima, and I observe you cleanse this sea from all the debris. And I am just wondering if you could do the same for me." I said, "I've been dragging around with this hurt for nearly 80 years, and I would really be grateful if you could do that for me." So I stood there for a little while, and I'm sure I felt much, much lighter. And one of the abuses from the church was, if you go to church with a sleeveless dress, they said it's an abomination against God. Well, I don't know much about the Bible, but the little I learned, I don't think God said anything about your clothing, whether a red dress, a flowery dress, a black shirt, a green shirt. I thought, the more I think about it, I thought these are man-made rules. And I think as such, it's just a way of keeping people subdued and in control. So that evening, I wore around that dress, a sleeveless dress. And it was for the first time I wore a sleeveless dress. I felt a little bit uncomfortable, but I said, "Grace, good for you." That's what I said. So the support I got from the ocean, that first visit, I felt as though the ocean said to me, "Grace, I am going to relieve you of your burden." Even though it was free, in my heart, I thought, I need to give back to humanity. And then I was thinking, how do I give back? And then I met Arlene, and then Thomas. And that was in 2023, I went to the ocean. 2024, I gave my sermon. And now I'm here again. After 24, we went back to the ocean, a different ocean, but nevertheless, it was an ocean. And I said the first time I said, I don't want anyone with me. I just want this to be honestly intimate, just the ocean and me. Because I was thinking, what happened if by some mysterious means, the ocean rejected me, my request? So I went on my own. The second time, I invited my family to come with me, and they look at me as to say, she is really going around the bend. I look at them, I said, no, I said, come with me. I went there. We all went. And to me, the ocean was mightier and bigger, and those waves were higher. and they were rolling even faster. Honestly, I felt self-centered. I felt as though this is my ocean. And it was like, as I said, in the presence of a mighty being, God. Also, I said to the ocean, I said, since I've been here, I addressed the ocean again. I said, since I've been speaking to you, and you relieve me of that bondage which I've been dragging around so long, I said, I give a sermon at Rockaway Mennonite Church so the ocean know about all of you, okay? You know, Rockaway Mennonite Church. And I'm going to go back to give another one again today. I'm here today. Now, in my life, I never thought as though a human can relieve me of my bondage, of my woe, of my pain, of my grief. To me, I had to go back to the source, or the sources. So I went back to my mother, I made peace with her. And my father, I did the same. And just as well, because when they passed, they knew we were on good terms. And then Mother Nature's got a good way of waking us up and let us know who is the boss. Mother Nature was the one who helped me to get over the grief of my late husband, Isa. And then with God, I could go back to the ocean again. And not only that, to have the opportunity to share my story. I've been to quite a few churches, and to me, they will gladly hear my story, but they want to edit it. You could say that, a little bit of that, and well, maybe none of that. And I said, I'm going to have none of that. Because when I was growing up, too many people edit my life, and I'm not going to have that happen again. So, what this congregation has done for me is very difficult to explain. It's not money, it's not material thing, but the freedom. So I was telling you about that wall which went up when I heard pastor and when I heard church, okay? Since that day, I've been coming here for quite a long time, a year, and 22 days. And I do not just come to say hello to people and have the hugs and the handshake and all of those things and to listen to beautiful music. I come because I want to make sure I know what I am seeing and what I'm hearing and what I am observing. So when I come here, don't think I just come. I come to suss you out as well, as they say, you know. And what I'm seeing, I like. Now, I don't know how to put this, but maybe, just maybe, there might come a time when I get more insight into maybe Christianity, a little more insight about life, a little more insight about human being. But for the time being, I am quite comfortable and grateful and humble for where I am today. I'm glad I made peace with my parents, with Mother Nature, with God. There was a time I will not use the name God. I'll say Jesus or Christ or whatever. Now, I could use the word God. We are not ring on finger type of friendship, but at least we are not enemies as before. So, my son, Halim, and I, we were driving down to Chatham for last Thanksgiving. And I said, Halim, yes, Mom. I said, there's so many big things happening to me, and I don't understand how it's happening. I said, it's got very little to do with me. And then he said to me, do you think it's God? Oh, I did not like him for saying that. I did not like him. I said, Halim, I don't know. Well, he says to me, you got to talk to your pastor. I said, Thomas, Halim, he's not my pastor. I've just been to church twice. And Halim says, yeah, that's enough. He's the pastor. He says, that's enough. That's your pastor. He says, you need to go and talk to him and tell him about this God business, because Halim says to me, you think you've got a conflict with God? I said, I don't know. But I knew I did. So I spoke with Thomas. To cut a long story short, Thomas didn't say to me, oh, Grace, you've got to pray more, read the Bible more, or come to church more. No, he didn't say that. And I was glad you didn't say that, Thomas, because I wouldn't be here today. The other thing was, he pointed out, I was abused in Trinidad, in England, and here, Waterloo, under the umbrella of the church. Not in the same measures, but abuse to me is abuse. He says, I don't think it's God, it's those people. And I thought, that's simple. Why didn't I not think about that before? So that helped me to make my peace with God as well. So I am glad these things, now I could say I am relieved of them. There might be a little bit more, which I might have to use a Swiffer duster, but those are small things, the big things. So I took it upon myself to do a little performance appraisal on all of you. And when I first came here the first time, I thought, I'm going to come here, say my piece, and out, and I will not come back. And I'm still coming back. None of you said to me, I've got to come back. You didn't say that. But there is something about whenever I come here, and the first time I came here, I was the only black person here, and I look around and I thought, I don't know about this, and I kept coming back. And what I am seeing, what I've heard, is what happened the very first time. I listened to your words. I observed your actions. And to me, your words and your action went together. And that's good for me. It's good for you, but it's better for me. Because when I was abused, trust was the first, emotion to leave. And to me, it's the last one and the most difficult one for me to gain. So with what you are doing here, I feel as though I could trust you. So, I'm going to end with this. There is a Buddhist saying, goes like this, and I quote, control what you can. Make peace with what you cannot. You, say we, create our own suffering by trying to fight reality. And to me, my reality was my mother, my father, Mother Nature, God, and then alcohol beat me down so badly. So, thank you.